Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of the hottest position 5 heroes in Dota right now, and that is RUBICK position 5. Yeah, honestly this hero for the longest time was solely played as a position 4, but it has recently exploded in popularity as a position 5. And honestly, I think RUBICK position 5 has been fine for a long time. But nonetheless, let's look at Fishman's gameplay. He is the position 5 player for Entity Gaming. They absolutely stomped Secret this game. I thought he played the lane extremely well. Like honestly, I was very impressed with his laning stage. And yeah, he's a very talented support player, rank 50 as a support, which is incredible. And let's get into his gameplay. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Like literally with the gameleap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but like actually you want to become much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the gameleap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below. I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is his starting item build. He has 3 tangos, a circlet, and 4 branches, completely doubling down on stats here. And yeah, I mean, it's really just a trait. Like, there's nothing else to say besides the fact that RUBICK has quite good base stats. With these starting items, it only gives you 1 extra armor, and yet he's gonna have 5 armor, right? RUBICK has 4 base armor, which is actually quite high. The hero has pretty good base damage. It starts at about 54, and its movement speed is actually kind of bad at 290, but Fade Bolt is also a decent trading ability. So the main thing to keep in mind is, yeah, this hero is just pretty damn good at level 1. And therefore, by buying stats similar to the very popular Mirana 5 right now, you can just trade quite well with right clicks, and that's the entire concept. And basically, during the laning stage, this is all he does. He's going to play the left side of the lane, secure the range creeps by auto attack and nuking, and go from there. In the Brood Slark matchup, it's definitely a matchup where you have to be very careful, because the Slark in the early levels can't help you that much. He doesn't have a slow or a stun to back you up if the Brood goes on you. So basically, it all comes down to the fact that eventually when Slark has items, when he completes his first Wraith Band or picks up, let's say, Band of Elven Skin, whatever it is, whatever his early stat item is, then you can actually get aggressive. And I think Fishman understands this pretty well. He definitely doesn't overtrade in this lane, and he's purchased 9 tangos at this point. So understanding he just needs to take the trade, chip down the enemy, and buy enough regen to sustain. Slark is pretty mediocre in the early levels. Brood is also kind of mediocre until she's level 3 typically. At level 2 Brood is decent, but gets much stronger at level 3. But I really like how he ends up baiting them in a moment. So you'll see he's going to trade with Zayax from the left here, always playing around basically his max range auto attack, and he mans up really hard. At first I thought this was psychotic, and honestly to some extent it was, but the main thing here is that in pubs this play honestly doesn't really work, because your carry is unlikely to shift over, where the enemy offlaner is very likely to shift over and try to kill you, and you're just gonna die. So this would have been honestly bad if Watson didn't shift over on the Slark here, but at the end of the day, this lift ends up setting up for an incredible bait on the Brood, as they can't get the job done. Slark hit level 3 before Brood did, and honestly, if Brood's level 3, this is a somewhat fightable trade for Secret. In fact, maybe they would have just won the trade overall, but that's not the case. Slark gets his first item, Slark hits level 3 first, and they're able to get a really great double kill for Slark, and this completely changes the dynamic of the lane. So from there, he's going to get off a nice pull. The lane was pushing in. It's always good just to kind of generally get the lane back, make sure you put it into a good position. I mean, even though they got a kill onto the Brood, it's going to be a little bit hard for them to pressure him. Brood just scales very well with levels. Brood tends to be very hard to zone out. Even here, they're putting a lot of pressure on Watson's Slark. But they're doing a great job, right? The Slark has 21 CS, Brood has 17. They're certainly winning the lane, especially considering Brood is like arguably the best laner in Dota right now. From there, he picks up boots and another set of tangos, and he's just playing to sustain the lane. One thing you have to keep in mind about RUBICK is this hero's spells are very expensive. It doesn't have any sort of nuke that costs like 70 mana or 60 mana like certain supports do, and so you have to be a little bit conservative with your spells. Fade Bolt early on should be used to secure the range creep, and then if you can hit a 2-man Fade Bolt, let's say it hits the Hoodwink and the Brood and you're going to be trading, that's pretty good as well, right? So those are the 2 main things I'd be looking for in the lane. Otherwise, you kind of need to be careful about how many spells you use, because in this case, he actually can't even cast both of his spells at the moment, as he gets a nice half pull off here. Really good stuff. Gonna look for the Bounty Rune, gets down a ward to protect Brood from eventual ganks from the Kunkka, because the Kunkka is actually quite a hard Slark counter. right? Kunkka can X Slark and you can't pounce away from it. It's undispellable. You can't Dark Pact it. You can't ulti away from it, really. So he's understanding that it's a very, very likely play for Kunkka to shift to the Brood lane so that the Brood can take the tower. And because Kunkka is actually a Slark counter, he wards for that. So I really like this play from Fishman. It's extremely heads up. In terms of the skill build, you're going to be going 1-4-1 every single game. I think there's honestly no reason to go any other build. I hate every other build. Some people, which I really don't understand, they'll take Telekinesis at level 4, which I think is just horrible because 14% spell amp is extremely high, right? It's way more damage. On Fadebolt right now, 14% spell amp is like 20 something damage, 25, 24 damage. It's not going to change the game, but it's a good amount. And then when you hit level 6 and you steal another nuke, that's spell amp on that nuke. And you get cast range, a lot of cast range, 100. It's a ton of cast range. On top of that, what's really great about the cast range from Arcane Supremacy is it works on wards. So if you're trying to get down a cheeky ward on a cliff or D-ward with a sentry and you don't want to show, right, for very long, the extra cast range helps you do that, right? So it's great for warding as well. And honestly, that's a big part about RUBICK 5 that I actually super, super love. This hero is one of the best warders in the game, but we'll talk about that later on. And now talking about that ward he placed earlier, it's going to come into play here. And this is what makes Entity such a good team and Fishman such a good position 5 player. He understands that this rotation is very likely. He doesn't put down a pretty obvious ward. It does end up getting dewarded, which is unfortunate, but it scouts the rotation nonetheless. So Entity is completely prepared. He did have to use his lift on the Brood here to protect himself, and they end up diving on Secret regardless of the fact that they were scouted out. I guess they tried to kind of hide it because they didn't make the play right away, but Entity was prepared, and as a result, it ends up being a massive fight. The Brood gets off the split, and they're able to kill off the Kunkka and the tree line. So yeah, this play was really huge from Entity. Honestly, a big overextension from Secret. I don't really know why they committed so hard for it, because you have to fear the Brewmaster. This hero at level 6 is one of the strongest heroes in Dota, completely dominates early game fights. But yeah, they force it out, and he does a great job in the team fight. From there, it's all about level 6. Honestly, RUBICK isn't that good at this point in the game. Like, Lift is okay, but it's not like you're a Tusk with Tag Team or something like that. So for the most part, you're trying to get the tome instantly. Even if you're position 5, you should buy the tome at minute 10 instantly. No hesitation. Just take it. RUBICK at level 6 is stronger than almost any other hero in Dota. Like, RUBICK's 6 spike, you could argue it's number 1 in the game because of how versatile it is. And so now let's talk about level 6 RUBICK and what this hero can truly do. Even though the steals this game are not that great, there's usually a couple per game, and that's good enough. So in the next clip here, this is just going to be, honestly, this was an insane play from Watson. He hard rushed Diffusal on Slark, which is crazy. It's pretty common to rush Diffusal on Slark, but typically you'll see a completed Magic Wand, a completed Wraith Band, maybe Raindrops, maybe Falcon Blade, sometimes Echo Saber. Like, it's very uncommon just to see this straight up. But he gets it at minute 13 because he rushes it, and that allows him to set up for this Brood kill, which was crazy. I watched this play, I'm like, what? Even from Rezo's perspective, I'm like, I can't believe he died there. Like, you do not expect to get Diffusal 13 minutes in, less than 13 minutes in. But okay, he's going to TP on Fishman, and he gets the spawn Spiderlings. And spells like this are incredible. Low cooldown nukes are exactly what you want on RUBICK in the early game. The best spells you can steal are like nuke stuns. So for instance, like Lina's Light Strike Array is just completely broken on RUBICK because not only does it help you clear creep waves, because it's amped by spell amp, you can one-shot creep waves with it if it's maxed out. It's also then a stun, and stuns get amped by spell steal. So whatever ability you steal, it actually lasts for 10% longer, right? So if it's a 2-second stun, then it will last for 0.2 seconds longer, which matters. It matters a lot, and it matters even more later on when it's 30%, but we'll talk about that more later on. So yeah, he's going to make a rotation, and this is when you typically want to get very active on RUBICK. So he's going to look to, I guess, smoke with his team, stacks the Ancient Camp. The main hero he can play with this game, because it's important to play with your strongest fighter, is definitely the Brewmaster. I mean, the Diffusal Slark is not bad, and they could try to eventually make that rotation onto the Brood again, because they actually have kill potential with the Diffusal, but he'll chill. He's got his nukes. He does kind of want to fight, but they're playing the game passive. They clearly are comfortable hitting a later timing. This is obviously their idea of the game, that they don't need to force the issue, at least not right now. So they're sort of looking at the fact that Toby could be getting gone on, but okay, the enemy shows the Hoodwink, and they're going to smoke from top. From there, he picks up a Quelling Blade, which is, oh, that's really cool. So against Hoodwink, you can buy Quelling Blade and you can chop the Hoodwink tree, which a lot of people know, that's not new knowledge. But because of the fact that RUBICK gets bonus cast range from Arcane Supremacy, you can cast Quelling Blade from further away. So he can actually chop the Hoodwink tree from really far away. Let's actually see if he does that this game. That'd be pretty freaking cool as he considers clearing mid-wave here. Might want to defend the tower. They'll find the glimpse onto the Brood. And, oh, they catch the Brood again. And here we go, he's going to get the lift and secure the kill. Probably should have spell stealed again just to make sure that he could get another spell. On RUBICK, you almost always want to have a spell. A lot of people won't spell steal until they find like Black Hole or something like that, which is just horrible. You should always be trying to have a spell so that you can then steal another spell during the fight. Basically, in team fights, and maybe we'll see it play out, you cast Fade Bolt, you cast your whatever your stolen spell is, and then you steal another spell. So basically, you get 3 maxed out abilities when you're level 8. And when you can do that, your hero's impact in the early game is basically the highest of any support hero. And I'm not just saying that, it's true. If you can use 3 maxed out nukes 16 minutes in, you're insane, right? Your hero's insane. I mean, even in this clip here, you'll see as he chases onto the Brood, because of the fact that he has so much spell amp, yes, I'm sorry, chases onto the Drow, that Spiderlings just does huge damage, right? 230 damage as they chase on the puppy here. By the way, try to cast your Fade Bolt as soon as possible. Even here, if they were going to chase onto the Disruptor, I would have liked to see him Fade Bolt right away. Yes, it does bounce, meaning you can hit onto multiple heroes, but typically you should just try to be getting multiple of these off, right? Fade Bolt is a pretty low cooldown at 10 seconds. It's very low, actually. And so you can often get multiple Fade Bolts off. So try not to get like weird about Fade Bolt. Don't KS with Fade Bolt. Just use it and try to get 2 to 3 of them off in a team fight. All right, so let's see what Fishman does in a team fight here. We're just going to be doing a live analysis of this. So, okay, Fade Bolt right away. Love that, right? Just instantly Fade Bolts the Hoodwink, gets it off cooldown. From there, he steals the Hoodwink ulti, and that's massive. Huge damage considering it's going to get... How much spell amp is this? 22%? It's just an insane number. Insane number. So he's going to charge it up. I guess he's just looking to slow the Kunkka there. That was just bad. He should have shot it at, I guess, the Drow, but... He was trying to slow the Kunkka down there, but okay, very simple execution. His team is obviously in a great spot. And then look where you can deward from. And the reason why this is important, it's not going to come up probably in this game, but basically in your average pub or in your average match, let's say you want to deward a hill. You have to be afraid of doing that, right? Because you're approaching a dangerous area. But you can put down the sentry. Look where you can place it from. Right? The average, and he could have maybe even placed it from further away, but the average support would have to place it from like here, right? And when you get this close, you get in people's blink ranges. Not to say that he couldn't have gotten blinked on there, but you get the point, right? It's way easier to ward and deward. For instance, if you're smoking up and your team wants to invade the triangle, or they want to, go for a mid push on the mid tower and it's nighttime, you just walk up and place a high ground ward, or you walk up and place the hill ward from like here. And then your smoke doesn't break, and you get information at the same time. There's so much value in this warding, it's insane. And now he's going to pick up Force Staff, which is so good on RUBICK, because you can save people from far away. Force Staff's cast range is horrible, but it's very good on RUBICK support because of the Arcane Supremacy, which is a huge advantage. As we'll see the fight break out here. Instant Fade Bolt once again, as he'll look for probably another Fade Bolt. Maybe we'll cast it on the spiders. No, he'll kite out. Just good overall positioning, waiting, having a little bit of patience as the fight breaks in. Misses the Sharpshooter, unfortunately. So he'll probably look for a new spell, right? Typically, after you cast something like a 40, 50 second cooldown ability all the way up to like 100, you'll use it and then steal something else. You usually don't want to like steal Black Hole or steal Brewmaster ulti, the Primal Split, and then like try to keep it. Usually you want to use it and then steal something else if you have the opportunity to. So we'll run in here looking for a steal from the Disruptor. I guess Glimpse is okay. There's not a lot of good steals this game, to be honest. Like usually the best steals, as I said, are like stuns at this point in the game because they get amped by your ulti. Or just like hard nukes. For instance, something like Lena's Q, if it's maxed out, is always an example I like to use. It's just consistent good damage. Something like Bushwhack is great. So if he could steal the Bushwhack, that would probably honestly be best case scenario in this game. But yeah, another instant Fade Bolt off onto the lift, just staying far away. He's got the stolen Glimpse here, gets another Fade Bolt off, and at this point, I think he's used 3 Fade Bolts in total. Glimpse up in 3 so they can chase onto the Kunkka here. He's probably calling for them to get vision because of the fact that he has the Glimpse. Yeah, he's doing it here. Look at that ward! Look at that ward! Oh, look at that! Like, that's just insane! He just put it down from here! And you can imagine how good that is when you're smoking up. Maybe you're trying to jump them on the high ground, trying to place the ward here without getting your smoke broken. I mean, the application of this is so practical, right? And now they can go in. It's just insane. I mean, it is unfortunately going to get dewarded, but Look at that. Yeah, they're tipping him. They're like, what in the world? The Ward Glimpse. It's a classic. But it's a good play, you know? And it just really heads up. Maxed out Glimpse is actually legit. It's just a good spell. And the cast range on Glimpse with Arcane Supremacy is broken. That's some crazy stuff right there. So push in the midway. Also, one of the main benefits of RUBICK, I had to play against this hero a lot in my recent DPC series. One of the main benefits of RUBICK is if you steal a nuke, even if you don't, but if you steal a nuke, you one-shot creep waves from a mile away. So typically the best way to get kills in Dota is to kill people when they're clearing the dangerous creep wave, which is typically mid-wave. However, when you have a RUBICK on your team, he just kills it from wherever, from like across the map, instantly. It's so annoying because these opportunities you would get in your average game, you just don't get against RUBICK. It's so frustrating. And you'll see he's going to farm quite a bit here. Hero's very good at farming. It does a lot with items because of the cast range. As I said, it's very effective at using Force Staff, very effective at using Glimmer. Just a well-rounded hero in that regard. He's going to post him in the jungle. Clearly just trying to, I guess, break his smoke here. Not exactly sure. Looking to push out the mid-wave. He's clearly taking that as his responsibility. And he's working towards that level 12 to get the double percentage amp on the debuffs. So that'd be great. With something like the Bushwhack or Ghost Ship or whatever stun he steals. All right, in one of the final fights of the match, he's going to approach high ground here. And, you know, it's always about still staying in good position. They're going a little bit deep, but I like that he doesn't instantly overcommit. He kind of makes sure that he has vision of all of Secret before diving the high ground, right, as a support. And eventually when his team YOLOs in, then he'll walk up because he just doesn't want to get jumped. He understands how effective RUBICK is if you can just stay in the max, stay alive, and frankly just chill, right? The more spells you can get off on this hero, the better. You never really want to put yourself in a dangerous position because of how much RUBICK does over time, right? This hero, it's just one of those heroes where it's like, if you can't kill it early on, it's gonna kill you. Like, that's what's so frustrating about playing against RUBICK right now, is we see a really long-range torrent, and yeah, this game is basically completely done. So yeah, the main selling point of RUBICK, outside of the fact that he's just a consistent laner, like this hero, it has pretty good base stats. You clearly saw the build that he went, very optimized for the early laning stage. In terms of the mid game, it's one of those heroes that provides you with a little bit of everything, right? It has a stun, it's good at warding, it has a nuke, so it's like good follow-up damage for kill combos like Tiny, Tusk, Pango. If it steals another nuke, it's one of the best wave shove heroes in the game. It's just a very, very well-rounded hero, which is why we're seeing a ton, and I mean a ton of RUBICK right now in the pro scene. And honestly, it's a fantastic pub hero. Because of the fact that it's one of the best scaling supports in Dota as well, because of the bonus cast range it gets with items such as Hex, Force Staff, Glimmer, it's great for carrying pubs alone as well, and it dominates fights at every single stage of the game. It's not a support where it's like, let's say it's like Witch Doctor, where the hero kind of falls off when people get a lot of armor items because Death Ward just isn't the same ability when people can tank it pretty easily, right? RUBICK never has that problem. Magic damage doesn't fall off, especially when it's spell amped by, what, 22% at max level? 26, right? I mean, every single nuke is pure. That's how you have to look at it, because the average hero has 25% magic resist, so unless they have a pipe, every time you nuke, it's practically a pure damage nuke on whatever you steal. And if it's a stun, it's 30% longer once you hit level 18. And keep in mind, at level 15, you get 25% stolen spells cooldown, or telekinesis lift duration, which is just good, it's just a longer stun. Or every time you steal an ability, you have 25% CDR on that spell, meaning if you steal something like Light Strike Array from Lina, you're just stunning people for way longer, way more, right? More CDR and debuff amplification. So this hero just goes crazy from the backline. A little bit of good positioning, goes insane. He steals the kinetic field here, drops another Fable. I love this guy's Fable usage. I even feel like I often have to criticize pros on their Fable usage. I'm a huge fan of how Fishman cast. I know it seems like a small thing, but it's not. Because the average player will get like one Fade Bolt off in a fight, because they cast it super late, right? But he's consistently getting off 2, 3 in a fight, and that's like, for me, it's a big deal. I think everything matters in Dota, right? An extra 300 damage more because of the spell amp is very significant. Really, really matters as he steals the X and then Call GD. But all right, thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely give this hero a try. Keep in mind the warding tactics you can use. Definitely buy Force Staff most games. In terms of item build, you can go Force Staff into something like Glimmer. A lot of people will go back for the Aether, which if the enemy has a lot of like really high value spells, Fisher. I guess the Bushwhack in this game would have been a good example, but it's a bit hard to steal and there's only really one of them. But the Bushwhack, Impel, from line is a pretty decent one. Light Strike Array, Fisher, something like Maledict from Witch Doctor, right? Anytime you can steal these abilities, then you can kind of go the Aether, because if you really feel like there's like some steal that you can just spam and own the game with, then having cast range and staying alive is very valuable. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.